Hey everyone, welcome to section 3 of the JavaScript course. Um, in this section, we are going to be going over conditionals, if-else statements, switches, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to chop it up into 2 or 3 separate videos. The first video, we are going to go over the comparison operators and the and/or operators as well. And that's what this video is going to be. And then in the next videos, we're going to be going through the if-else statements and conditionals as well. All right, so let's get into it. So I think I very briefly touched on some of these operators before, some of the booleans in the data section. It is a data type, right? Just like a number or a string is, there's a special one that's called a boolean, and a boolean can be true or false. And you use comparison operators to, well, perform comparisons on values, pretty much. And where you're pretty much checking whether they're equal or not. You're going to check if they're greater than, or less than, or greater than or equal to, if they're not equal, stuff like that. So that's what we're going to go over here. So the first one is the is equal. This is the is equal operator, right? So this is denoted by two equal signs. Do it like that, right? So what you do is, and I touched on this in the previous video, so if you already know this, just skip ahead. If you want a refresher, well, then keep looking. So we are checking whether two values are loosely equal. As you notice, there is one that's called strictly equal as well that we're going to go through. So this is just loosely if they're equal or not. So here we're comparing the number 2 to the string 2. Now they're two different types, but they hold the same value, right? They hold the number 2. So if I run this code, we are going to console log this is equal, the r equal operator. We're going to see the result of this. Is it going to be true or is it going to be false, right? So let's see what this says. True. Okay. So why is that? Why is it that a number 2 and a string 2 are the same when you use the loosely equal operator? Well, that's because, well, just like I said, it's loosely comparing them. It's checking whether they are the same value, not the same type, right? So it's very, very important to distinguish. Typically, you're not going to use this too much, if at all. You really want to use this one. This is the main one you're going to be using when you do programming in general in JavaScript, but it's good to have awareness of this if you see it. Anyway, so yeah, so let's go ahead and move this console log down here. So this, I guess you guys can probably guess already, this is going to be true. So is this. This is also going to be true. How can we make this false? So a good way to make this one false would be by putting two different values in completely. So a 1 and a 2, right? So we're going to console log what this is now. Is the string 1 equal to the string 2? It is not. There it is. It's false. So, and again, that's because the values themselves are indeed different. Okay. Now that we went over that, let's go through the strictly equal. Copy this and throw it in the console log. Okay. So for the first one, what do you guys think? The number 3, that is that strictly equal to the string 3? Well, let's see. It is not. You see that? In this case, it is false because you are strictly comparing it. You're checking if it's the same exact thing. Okay, and these are not the same exact thing. They have the same value, but the type is different, right? So very, very important to distinguish those things. And then if we move this down here, if we're just comparing the two numbers, a number 3 to a number 3, this is going to end up being true. And same thing with the string, because they are the same type and the same value. Okay, are not equal. So um, so this is checking whether two values are not equal or not, right? So is the number 2 not equal to the string 2, right? So this kind of plays off of this is going to play off of the first section that we did right here, right? Is equal. But just now we're checking if they're not equal. So let me put this up here so you guys have it as well. This is the not equal. You're checking if they're not equal. So if they're not equal, it'll be true. It's a little weird a little weird to get your head around sometimes with all the logic, but yeah. And then this is equal, strictly equal. There we go. I guess for consistency's sake, we could flip these around as well. There we go. Okay, and this is not equal. All right, so we're going to check. Are these two not equal? Well, what do you guys think is going to be true or false? Let's see. It is false. You see that? So what this is saying is that these are actually equal by saying false. So you're checking, are they not equal? No, they're not. They are equal. So this ends up being false. Now, if I move this down here and I do it after this number, what do you think this is going to be? Is it going to be true or false? Are they going to be not equal? See, it's false again because they are equal. Again, it very much depends on the number of equal signs you have. If you have 2, you are just loosely comparing it. If you have only 1, or if you have, if you have 3, here you are strictly comparing it. And then here you see that one of those equal signs is just replaced with the exclamation point. This is actually the not operator. So here's another one for you here. So this is the not operator. So this is going to invert whatever you say. So if you put this exclamation point in front of something that's true, it's going to make it false, which is how this is actually working. Okay. Okay, so let's see what happens if we do this. Run it. Again, false. Okay. So how can we make this true? What do you guys think? How can we make this true? How can we make it so these two are not equal to make this true? So let's put a 3 here, right? That's what, or we had a 1 up here. Let's put a 1. So a string 1 does not equal to a string 2. That sounds like it could be true, right? It just kind of sounds right. So let's see. There you go. You see how that's true? And that's because they are indeed not equal. Okay, next we have the strictly not equal. So this one is going to be an exclamation point, which is the not operator, equals equals, and that's going to be our strictly not equal. And you could probably guess how this one's going to go. If we put it here, well, what do you think? Is this one going to be true or false? We're saying that the number 3 does not equal, strictly does not equal the string 3. And I think in this case, what do you guys think? You let me know before I run it. Oh yeah, I'm going to run it right now. There you go. It's true, right? So what we're saying is the number 3 is not strictly equal to the string 3, right? And that makes sense because at this point we're checking the data as well. We're checking the type. We're not just checking like what the value is. And what about this one? The number 3 does not strictly equal to the number 3. You think that's going to be true or false? Let's see. There you go. That's false, right? Because they are equal. They are strictly equal. The number 3 is strictly equal to the number 3, right? That would make sense. Okay. So that's pretty much most of your comparison operators that are going to check whether something is equal or not equal, and how strict you want to be with it. And now we're going to move into the kind of like the numeric ones, right? So we're checking whether something is larger or smaller. You've seen this in math, I assume. So this is going to be the greater than operator, okay? Um, make this capital. It's bugging me. All right, so console log this. Let's see. I mean, this, I think you guys will get this one, right? What do you think? Is 2 greater than 3? Is that true or false? Let's see. False, right? 2 is not greater than 3. Is 2 greater than 1? This one, I think you guys can know. It's probably going to be true. Well, not probably. It is true, right? And then the last one we have is 2 greater than 2? Ah, see, that's a little tricky now, right? Because it's not strictly greater or less than, it's equal. So what is it? Is it going to be true or false? False. And this is why. 2 is not greater than 2. You got to think about that, right? They are equal. And what's going to show you that is this next line underneath here, right? It's the greater than or equal to. So now we can check if something is greater than or equal to by using this operator, right? So, or this comparison operator. So the way you write that is you do the greater than sign and equal, right? Kind of makes sense. Greater than equal. This is greater than or equal to. Okay? So we're saying 2 is greater than or equal to 2. Now that should be true, right? Because 2 and 2 is equal. 2 is equal to 2, right? Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't change the variable here. We're still checking off the last one. There we go. So now we're checking, is 2 greater than or equal to 2? True. Yep, it is. There you go. And the last one, we're going to check if 2 is greater than or equal to 3. Well, this should be false because 2 is definitely not greater than 3, and 2 is definitely not equal to 3. So there you have it. That is indeed false. Okay, so the last thing in this specific video I want to go over are the and or operators. And those are going to be down here. So with these, the best way I can show them, the easiest way that I can show them is just by having true or false and console logging the result. Okay. What you do with these, you are going to pretty much use these for comparison. You can add on things. So these are just single comparisons. Okay. What you can do is you can have multiple conditional statements or multiple Boolean values, and you can run logic off of those. So you can say, for example, are equal and are strictly equal. You can use both of those. You can say if one is true or the other is true, then what is that going to be, right? So let me do this. So the and operator looks like this, and the or operator looks like this. Okay, 2 ampersands or 2 pipe symbols. That's how you do this. So, just to show you guys, so console.log, console.log. Let me comment this out again so you can see this a little bit better, and then we'll get into this code underneath here. So if we take this greater than, so it's 2 is greater than 2, and we compare it to this one, is greater than or equal to, we can make it an and. So this one, we already know this is false, right? So we're saying false here, and we're saying that this one is also false. If I can type false, right? So if false and false, what is that going to be? What is that going to render, or what is that going to output? True or false? So if it's false and false is going to be false, right? And I'm going to show you guys that down here as well. But I'm just trying to show you the point of me using these two variables is that you can use any of these in conjunction with this, okay? So you can use something else that's, let's see, this one, are not equal, right? So this is true, and we said this one is well, let's do two of these. Are not equal and are not, well, this is true and false. Okay, we're gonna do this first. True and false is gonna be false because that's how this one works. This operator, this and operator means both have to be true for it to be true. And then we say these two, right? They're both true. It's gonna say true. All right. So again, for the reason I'm showing you this is just so you can see that you don't typically when you use the and operator and the or operator, you're going to have something like this. You're not going to actually have true or false like you see here. I just have this for demonstration purposes so you can clearly see what each outcome will be. Okay, so let me delete this and let's console log this real quick. Let's see what happens when we run all of these, and then we can go through the results. Okay. All right, here it is. So we have true or true is true, right? So what's the or operator saying is um, either the left side or the right side can be true for it to be true. It's or, either or, right? True or true or false or true. It doesn't matter. As long as one thing is true, okay, it will be true. The only way it'll be false, right? This will be true too, because we said just as long as one of them is, right? And that's this one. The only way it can be false is if both of them are false, right? So this will return false, or this will log false. So you know what? For better clarity, let me go ahead and do this as well, so you guys can better see this. Do that. This equals this. All right. So let's do it this way. Copy, paste, and we said true and false, and again, the order of these actually doesn't matter. You can put false first and then have true. It'll still end up being the same. And we had false and false, right? False and false. False and false. Okay. There's actually this really cool concept in logic called the truth table. If you guys want to get into this very deeply, you can. It's a very interesting topic, but we don't need it for what we're doing here. Oh yeah, this is we said was going to be false, right? So let's do that down here as well. We're going to just copy this, and we are going to just make them ands instead of ors, right? So this is going to be an and. Okay, there we go. All right, now when we run it, it'll be, it'll be easier to see, and this should be false. Okay, so here we go. Run. There it is. Okay, so we can just look at it through here, through this console. So true or true is going to equal true. True or false is going to also be true. False or false is going to be false. And then true and true is going to be true. True and false is false. False and false is false, right? Because remember, for the or operator to give you a true, only one of them has to be true, right? Here, we don't have any one of them. Both of these are false, so it's going to end up being false. For the and operator, everything has to be true in it. You can have multiples of these, right? I'm just using 2, but you can have 5 or 10 if you want, right? As long as one of them is true, if you're using all ors, you can mix these too, then it gets real complicated. But you won't use more than 2 or 3 comparisons max. And you should be fine just understanding this. But anyway, so again, to recap, in order for an or statement to be true, it only needs one thing to be true. The rest of them can be false. You can have 10 ors lined up, and as long as one of them is true and the other 9 are false, it's going to come back true. And the only way that that an or operation can be false is if all of the statements are false. They all have to value to false, right? And then the opposite is true for the and. For the and, everything has to be true for it to come back true. And then it only takes one false to make all of it false, right? So you can have 10 statements or 10 true falses, right? And they can all be true, but then there'll be one false. And they're all ands, right? It'll make the whole thing false. So, yeah. I hope that made sense. That's it for this lesson. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will get back to you and answer them as fast as I can. Thank you.